So welcome, everyone. Welcome to the February 17th Board of Selectmen meeting. I'll start by just reminding everyone that this meeting is being recorded for cablecast and YouTube presentation by Area 58 Community Access Media. The video of this meeting is not to be considered an official public document. So we welcome Area 58. We welcome the press media as well. I think we can dispense with the ground rules tonight. The agenda has been published. Are there any additional items that people would like us to consider considering tonight?
Let me take a look. Solar's on there,
It is.
and I did have a tree branch question, and I was just going to mention it. It's not really an agenda item, just
Okay.
Just
I
a
think,
mention.
I mean, we certainly can have a discussion, probably not acting on it unless,
it's not even a discussion.
okay. So why don't we start there?
All right. Can I add one thing that I'd like for us to consider is asking Bob for a opinion on the Randall permit, the zoning portion of it.
I
mean, we can wait until next week.
My concern is that it isn't on the agenda.
Sure.
And I think there
Okay.
could be people that would want to comment. And
Sure,
if
okay.
it's all right with you.
All right, we can put it on next week.
And in fact, I'm intending at next week's agenda, one of the items there, it will be the question about zoning and
Okay,
even the
perfect.
question about whether we need to mine the mind of town council.
Okay.
So, is that all right?
Perfect.
I just.
Nope, that's perfect.
I think because there are so many opinions, we should leave that
That's
option
fine,
there.
that's fine.
You what?
Well, no, I don't want your opinion tonight. I just want us to look towards getting your opinion.
Okay. All right, so onward. So the nature of the meeting tonight, at 6:30, we have the Public Safety Building Committee, or the subcommittee will be here, the Finance Committee will be here, and we'll be talking about the Public Safety Building, in particular about progress in general, the role of a consultant, the choice of a consultant. So that comes at 6:30. So hopefully we can get through most of this, the rest of this stuff ahead of that. So, first item is the town personnel policy and procedure documents, and I think we were going to consider proceeding with town council vetting at this point. Any comments from anyone on that?
The only comment I had is that I don't know if it's easier and consequently quicker for town council to read it if it's been better formatted. It just went from page to page, and that's the way you put it on, that's fine. I just wondered if we should tidy it up a little before it goes to town council.
More
It's just-
like
I find
what
it
it's gonna
easier to
look
read
like.
when things are organized.
Is there more you can do with that to kind of polish it?
There's more that goes in there, so there's more that you may want to add, which is why it's not sectioned and numbered at this point. That's the final format, will be sectioned and numbered according to the table of contents. But if I spend the time to do that now, which is kind of time consuming, and something changed, you add other sections and everything, you got to move everything around. I would send them the individual town council, I would just send them the individual sections. They don't have to have the book. Just all they have to have is each individual policy, one by one, and they can comment on it.
So didn't we decide that we weren't going to do any of these other things until maybe in the summer? or-
Right, when we have more time.
So we're done.
Okay, if you're done, then
Yeah, we're
I'll
done
put
for
it
now.
together and you can send them the book.
Okay, so will you work on formatting, and hopefully by next meeting or the meeting after, and then one of us can contact town council?
Or if he sends them as individual documents, then formatting's not necessary.
Right, just as individual
Yeah,
pages.
that would be quicker and easier.
Yeah, just send them as individual pages.
Yeah.
To town council? Okay, you just want me to throw them out there and send them to town council so they can get reviewed?
Yeah, I don't think we need to.
Do we want to, one of us sort of signal that we don't want to get into a huge deal?
All right, why don't you forward them to me? say I want the Reader's Digest version.
Good, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, they've approved everything. I mean, most everything's come from them anyway.
Well, and I think that's the point. I mean, I don't.
In 10 minutes or less,
I'll bet they make changes.
if they make changes, that's
All
just
right.
crazy
You
talk.
can't get 175 an hour if you don't make any changes.
Okay, so once you send them to me as individual pages, I'll send it off to council and ask them just to quickly review it.
Very good. Okay, so we're on target with that.
All right, I will forward those to you,
Thank you,
Christine,
sir.
and I'll begin
All
finalizing.
right, so the next 2 or 3 items are in the category of things we keep tripping over, and hopefully we can just get them cleaned up. So the next one is snow removal at the library, the police station, and the PHS. Please, Lord, no more snow this winter, so we don't have to deal with this anymore. Do you have something?
Well, we're finalized till the end of the fiscal year, assuming the board agrees. Jake Jacobson has agreed to do Townhouse Library Historical Society building during storms, and the position, and it's a part-time position, paying the labor rate $15.25 an hour, and he will be under the basic control and direction of the highway surveyor, only because it makes it easier to do that way. I thought he was around, but he's not.
But he's
You
doing-
know, in terms of telling him what he needs to do.
And he's being paid out of our budget line.
Yeah, it's going to be building and grounds until the thing gets established. We'll revisit it again. Next year. I shouldn't even say I don't anticipate a lot of snow because that's
Right,
crazy.
so the other piece is Jake and I had conversations the last storm, and it seemed like he wasn't totally thrilled with big storms, and I did mention, Colleen and I mentioned that we'd help out, and I'll continue to help out to the degree you want me to.
I
My-
think you did it once, and I actually went across and did the last 3 inches or something. And
So-
then last storm, you did it all, so that was
I
great.
had no problem with those last storms.
Yeah.
And-
The 8-inch one.
And I have no problem coming up and helping either. I think the bigger issue that came up that I think we want to keep on our radar screen is if this is coming out of our buildings and grounds budget, in the next budget process, we want to make sure there's enough money in it for that. One, and then two, again, in my conversation with Jake, there was that sense that probably for next year, we need to find someone else to do it, whether a kid, we'll see if I want to volunteer again. I think, so we just, so that we don't keep tripping over this, definitely want to have this.
Additionally, we might want to look at our lease with the Historic Society. I mean, it's we want to help them, they're a town group, but in my job, the leases that we have, the people who are renting the building are responsible for that. Not,
Add that to it, yeah.
so,
The board should discuss that. And in that case, the only other piece of board-required paperwork is this notifies the treasurer that you have agreed that he is on the payroll until then at the hourly rate, so on and so forth. It's
So
just
Jake would be then, what, at will? Employee at will?
casual labor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jake's pretty casual.
Well, I should give him foreman's pay, that's all right.
All right, there's a typo in
And just to
there.
be clear,
I
do
see
you
the
want me to
period.
continue to?
I see it. Don't.
If you have the time marked or.
That's your sign copy.
jump right in.
I mean,
Okay.
I don't want to take
Period.
away your
I'm not
hours,
taking that down
Okay.
with me.
I'm sure.
Okay.
All right.
All right, so Jake would then be covered under the town's insurance and all of that, or?
Yeah, it's the
Okay.
same as any other.
Same as any other,
Same as
okay,
any other.
okay. All right.
All right, make a
Wanna
motion that we approve this arrangement with Jake.
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Jake, very much for doing this.
Okay. Okay. All right. So, again, in that theme of things we keep tripping over, the next one is the inclement weather emergency closure policy, which we went ahead last year and wrote this policy to try to clarify this so there would be less confusion, and somehow in the last storm we ended up with a little bit more confusion. That confusion was based on a little bit of misunderstanding. in definitions. We had written in our policy last year that we refined this year that townhouse would be closed if the governor declared a state of an emergency. So a week ago Monday during the storm, the governor declared a quote-unquote snow emergency and closed state offices, which got misinterpreted somewhere along the way as a state of emergency, which is something different, and townhouse ended up getting closed on that basis. So so there are 2 or 3 things I'd like to do to try to help clear this up. I think I would propose amending our inclement weather policy so that it'll read that the townhouse will be closed if the governor declares a state of emergency or if the governor closes state offices in Plymouth County. And/or if the town emergency team so decided. So I'd like to add that phrase about state offices being closed, and so that's a motion.
Okay, second.
All those in favor? Aye. All right, so then the learning pieces out of this, the town emergency management team did meet that morning. It wasn't snowing yet, and there was that decision to keep townhouse open. In retrospect, maybe we kind of met too late, and it would have been better earlier or the night before. I mean, there's this constant dilemma of closing too early or the storm dissipating, and this is one of the ones you can't win, which is why we wrote the policy to begin with. But I think the lesson that all of us on the town emergency management team learned is that maybe we need to do this earlier. If we decide to close, we need to have a clear phone tree set up so that everyone, all the people that work here will know ahead of time. And what I'd like to do on that, Bree has offered to sort of organize that piece, I think. Is that right? So
Sure.
I'd like to ask her to go ahead and organize a phone tree so that maybe she'll have 3 or 4 calls and the department heads that she calls would have 2 or 3 calls, and that one way everyone will know.
I have a question of, would the 3 people involved, which is the chief, fire chief, police chief, and Mr. Mulcahy, be contacting me after they meet?
Yes.
For me to make these calls?
Yes, yes,
And then do you want that posted to the website?
yes.
Okay,
So can you take care of the logistics on that?
yeah.
Very good. And again, please, no more snow.
Yeah, I think this one, didn't the governor actually do it the night before? Didn't it come down at like 10 o'clock at
I
night?
think it was like 11:47 when it came out. It was almost midnight.
Yeah, it was late.
It was like 10 minutes of 12.
Yeah, it was, but it was the night before
And then
the
the
storm.
news in the morning wasn't reporting it. The first time I heard it on the actual news was at 10 minutes of 9.
Okay.
Yeah, it
So
was a
it's very
little
late for
confusing
people.
because we had the storm over the weekend and then another
Right.
storm.
Okay.
And Townhouse was being open as a warming center anyway. In any event, we had some good learning lessons, and
Okay.
hopefully it'll go smoother next time. Okay, let's see. We're up to town car maintenance expenses. Did
Okay, the update. I spoke to Warren, Chief Basari, and he's agreed to maintain the town car on his budget through the end of the fiscal year.
Okay.
So that's taken care of at that point, and I think the scheduling of the use of it is also taken care of at that point. But the other thing that's happening now is, in addition to that vehicle, I don't know how much longer we'll have that on the road, is the Council on Aging vehicle. It requires, believe it or not, there's over 30,000 miles on that vehicle already. And it requires maintenance as well as anything else. So they're going to have to adjust their budget to reflect it, and whether they handle it themselves, which is what they are doing. Jimmy, who drives for them, does a great job, and he's taking care of it now. It's not a problem. But they're working on that. I mean, we're getting to the point where you need a motor pool. It just happens. But it's taken care of for this fiscal year anyway.
And are those groups putting the costs into next year's budget
I
request?
have told, yes, I believe that they, I mean, I certainly talked to Council on Aging, I talked to Chris, and I said, you have to put this in your budget for next year, figure out what the maintenance is going to be. I mean, in terms of just, oil changes and stuff like the normal maintenance, but it also is going to need PM. Actually, believe it or not, well, it's not even believe it or not, it's a new vehicle, and they put funny tires on new vehicles. They don't last long. I mean, my truck has 30,000 miles on it. It needs new tires. This van has 30,000 miles on it, and it needs new tires. So, those are the issues those are the issues you face. It won't be bad, but then, you've got your regular maintenance and brake jobs and things that come along, and they've got to get a few extra dollars to maintain that.
So will you confirm with Council on Aging that they're including in their budget request?
Well, she said she was going to. She said she was working on it, and Jim said he would. I said, well, estimate how many miles you've driven in the last 12 months, how many oil changes that required, and anything else you anticipate that might come up, and put a number on all of that, and have Chris put it in her COA budget for.
And then the other
For
car
FY17.
that Fire is doing, are they going to do it next year? Or we just don't want that, we don't want to get to
Yeah.
August.
I
and
mean,
have
it could come back to
nobody's
us to do, but I mean, they have, they have the connection, the connections with the vehicle maintenance for their own vehicles, so it's just easier for them to do it. I'll check it with the chief to make sure that he's willing to do it. I don't know how much longer that vehicle will stay on the road, to be absolutely honest with you. I don't know how many miles it has on it. It
That's
doesn't
the
get-
one the assessors use?
Yeah. And if we have to replace that vehicle, we won't be replacing it with anything we have in our fleet. In other words, we're not going to be able to do a hand-me-down vehicle because we don't have an energy-efficient hand-me-down vehicle. We'd be buying something new or used, but it would have to have a certain amount of energy efficiency to it because we're a green community.
You had something,
I was
Chief?
gonna recommend an alternative, but I forgot about they had to be an environmentally friendly vehicle. I got a vehicle that I'd be expecting to be trading in next year. It's a little bit younger than that Crown Vic. It's gonna be 6, but I don't think it'll deal with the 50 criteria. I don't think it will.
I don't know. I think your newer cruisers might actually, but I don't know. Isn't
This
it?
is the Ford 500, the black unmarked.
I don't know. I would have to look. They have a list, and I don't know what vehicles. My guess is off the top of my head, no, but for that reason, it's good to keep that vehicle going sort of as long as possible, because once it goes, it'll have to be replaced with something that's energy efficient, something that makes the list. But I will make sure that the chief is going to
Thank
take it up, and he'll keep it in his budget for the coming year.
All right, and last one on budget, I put this on the agenda. The Board of Selectmen 2017 fiscal year budget requests, they're in to FinCom.
Yeah.
We will be meeting with FinCom. We originally had been scheduled to discuss our budget requests
29th, I think.
the 22nd. That's moved to the 29th. I know they have asked for more detail, and you certainly want to be ready.
I sent it to him.
Great.
I put the detail into the budget sheets that I
Okay,
sent him.
good. So they may have questions, and we should all be ready to answer those questions.
And that's
should be happy.
5:30?
That will be 5:30, February 29th.
Okay.
Yep.
And where? In this room?
Or
their room.
I'll check on that.
Okay.
Probably, it might be easier for us to go over there. I'll check.
Well, and then if they're doing budget meetings, maybe it'd be easier for them to be in a larger room too. And maybe we could meet somewhere else if it's more convenient for them to meet here.
You want us to be helpful?
Yeah.
That's thoughtful.
Yeah.
Nice.
Can I just say one thing about the chief taking over that car for the rest of the year? He's not gonna go over budget because of this car, right? That's not gonna cause him any problems? Okay.
No, he said it wouldn't.
Okay.
I mean, again, unless, of course, who
Right.
knows? If something breaks, I mean, there's a question there, but, and we'll see where we'll go. But I
Okay,
mean,
well, I
under
just would
normal
wanna-
circumstances and normal maintenance,
Okay.
he can absorb that in his budget
Okay.
until the end of the fiscal
Okay.
year.
Sounds great, provided he doesn't go over his budget.
Okay, now on to easier stuff. Solar updates.
All right. Borrego actually contacted us. Borrego was the people that were doing the project over on Spring Street. And they sort of put the brakes on because they had some title issues with the landowner. Those have been settled, so now they're back wanting to arrange the pilot agreement, which has already been drawn out and vetted by town councils, is my understanding. So we just need to find it and, see, make sure that it's still what we want and sign it, I guess.
I think I may even have that.
Do you know where to find that? John Henry told me he gave you all of his solar stuff.
Then it's probably in a folder. There are several of them. I'll check for it, see where it is. Although I wish I had it electronically. I'll check with them. I mean,
So it was vetted by town council, right?
Yes,
So it
it's all
must-
set to go.
it must be electronic somewhere. Yeah.
And this is the one that town meeting approved, the pilot.
Right. And this
in
one
2014.
will take the Blue Wave PPA. This is the PPA, correct? Pilot purchase agreement.
No,
Oh,
this is the pilot.
This is the pilot.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. So.
And this is Borrego.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I have that.
Okay.
And
So can you find
it's
that and
approved.
get it to
and,
us?
Yeah. And I mean, it's if that's it, and everyone, and I assume that the board reviewed it somewhat and agreed with it before.
Yeah, it's just that it's been 8 months or something, so we
Yeah,
need
it's
to
been a
look at
while.
it again.
It's been a while. Okay, I'll
So
find it.
the second
and
part of
forward
that
it.
is that there's also, they need a host for that, which brings in some money for the town. And then they were offering again another net metering, which we already have a better deal with Blue Wave.
Yeah, I believe it's a better, which is why we went that way.
Yes, exactly.
Although I haven't heard from them, so.
Well, and that's the other thing I wanted, maybe we need to follow up with Blue
Yeah,
Wave and
shake
say
shake
what's
the
going
tree
on with
again
that.
and see what the story is, because I haven't heard from them in a while.
And why we haven't received the host funds yet from them,
Another good question.
so,
All right, so on net metering, we get one or the other, not both.
right. We don't buy that much purchase that much electricity that we would need more than one, is my understanding.
Mhm.
And the Blue Wave was at a much better cost.
And in that email today, they were offering to come in to talk to us again.
Yeah?
Do we want to invite them in? Are we ready to set that up?
I would think that we'd want to look at the contract again first,
Okay.
give ourselves a little basis of memory.
So shall we, well, we'll discuss it again next Monday night. Yeah?
Okay.
Okay,
So that's that.
okay.
Colleen, what about the one in Mattapoisett? Is
Well,
that
that's the Blue Wave
the
that we
Blue
were just
Wave?
talking about.
Gotcha, okay.
That we should be receiving a host fee
Right,
from
yeah.
them.
Yeah.
And,
And our PPA is tied to that one as well.
right,
Right.
and this was Zach Farkas at Borrego. He thought that, I'm not sure, either their original project in Mattapoisett was low-income housing, or they changed low-income housing, in which case you can't do net metering. So I think that we need to follow up with Blue Wave and just make sure.
I've got a note there.
Okay.
All right, so we'll try to get that together for next Monday night. All right. Look at that, it's 6:30. I think we're waiting a couple minutes for FinCom. Maybe can I do a couple of plan ahead agenda items and get those out of the way? So we will be meeting next Monday night as usual. And on one of the major agenda items will be the marijuana grow facility again. And I had two questions on that. One was what time we would invite that conversation to start. We do have in the minutes from a couple meetings ago that we would do that at 6:45, and I think that gives us enough time to deal with other stuff and then go on to it.
End with that?
End with that, yeah.
Okay.
If that's all right with everyone, at least, I think we do need an executive session next Monday night for land issues that we have been talking about.
Okay.
So that'd be at 5:30. Now, on the marijuana grow facility, to sort of structure that conversation, I was going to put something in the agenda that the first part of the meeting would be for new comments, that is, comments from citizens that we haven't heard from so far. I think we have been, frankly, inundated with comments already, and I don't think we need to hear the same stuff over again from either side, but that would be part one. Part two, Jeffrey Randall did ask for a bunch of questions from us, and I submitted him a bunch of questions, and he would like to go ahead and answer those. And then the third part of that discussion would be amongst ourselves, is how we proceed further to continue the conversation. Does that seem like a fair way to structure this thing?
I think you're gonna have to let people that have spoken before have one more say.
Oh,
too.
no, they can speak more, but I think the main points that they've
Yeah,
made, we've
yeah.
heard.
Well,
And
we've heard it many times, that is true.
So it isn't that they can't,
Yeah,
if they
you're
have
right, you're right.
additional comments.
Okay.
Which isn't to thwart the conversation at
Okay.
all, it's just the conversation has gone on long and long and long. All right, so that's that agenda item.
Excuse me?
We have solar on here.
6:45 then? 'Cause 6:45, I did hear from Mr. Randall and spoke to him today.
Yes,
And he wanted to confirm.
yes, and he did check in with me. I will confirm with him tomorrow that that'll be at 6:45.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
What's that?
this is for the 29th?
No.
22nd.
Monday night.
Okay. Well, Dale, do you have other things?
I have one other thing here that we haven't touched on, actually, is I got this from Mr. Mulcahy. This is the standard authorizations required to spend for him to spend Chapter 90 money, and it requires your signature, and there are two here. I need 2 copies of each one, if you could sign those, and I'll
Thank
see
you.
that he gets them back. And if you want to pass that form back for the treasurer to me, I'll make sure that she gets that as well.
Is that, and this form for Roger O'Neill, this came,
I have that for
all right, well, I think I can just go ahead and sign this. So that one's an important one. This,
So that's just you, and then all three of us
Oh,
sign
okay.
this one.
And I also have one more thing, which is a contract that you are expecting.
Oh, perfect. Speedy Gonzalez. Awesome.
My contract,
Is Chief happy?
before you guys change mine,
Before you do.
am I signing this?
Yes, this one was just you.
Great, that's perfect, Chief.
You know how this works?
And actually, I guess it's open session, and we can say that we have had 2 or 3 executive sessions for contract negotiations with the chief, and we concluded contract negotiations tonight, and I will be signing the document, and the chief has agreed to join us for the next 3 years, and I, for one, and I think I can speak for the whole committee, we are absolutely thrilled to have the chief on for 3 more years and have that kind of confidence and competence and confidence, for us to have such confidence in him. So thank you, chief, and welcome aboard.
thank you very much. I'm
Thank
glad to
you.
be here.
Thank you.
So happy to be a police chief.
So do we need more than one copy,
You
don't
can
we?
make copies as you
Okay.
get the treasurer, clerk, and...
Awesome. Thanks, Chief.
Okay.
The only one who needs a signed copy is the accountant.
Okay,
That whole-
awesome.
At some point, does that contract become public once it's signed?
Yeah, I think probably it's public now, isn't it?
It's public now.
Yeah. Readily available.
Barbara needs the original,
Okay.
and then after that, we can make copies.
Anything else for you? So
No, I'm
we
all
have
set.
that part out of the way?
All set.
All right.
Is Mark's name supposed to be printed here? Or are they looking for 2 signatures?
Accounting officer. Is that what that says?
Well, it says accounting over it. Author duly municipal officials. Oh, I guess 2
That's
then.
Barbara.
Oh, it's Barbara.
I believe that's
Okay.
Barbara, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Barbara. And Jimmy will probably get to Barbara.
Probably not till...
Okay.
Thank
Great,
you.
Thank you.
Well, we're thrilled to have the Finance Committee join us. We now have the Finance Committee here, the Board of Selectmen here, the Public Safety Building Committee Subcommittee, right?
But no, it's the whole committee, including the subcommittee,
Oh, okay.
because we have
Okay.
5 members of our committee here.
And so this agenda item is discussion about the public safety building and in particular progress that they've made along the way and discussion about the hiring of a consultant and the role of the consultant. So I'm not sure where to start. Do you?
Well,
wanna
to start, I'd like to
introduce?
call that meeting to order. You have a second? All in favor? Okay, so we're called to order.
And FinCom is already in session. We're rolling. All right.
Okay, so at our last meeting, we talked some more about hiring a consultant. We had formed a subcommittee to review the 14 applicants that answered our ad and to winnow them down to 3. And then, in our meeting, we started looking at things. What we really need is a price on the cost of the building. And one of the things in the consultant's package was the cost of, I'm getting a no-hit.
Not the cost of the building, the cost of the pre-construction.
Cost of the,
You can't get a cost of the building until we have design. The pre-construction.
okay, on the P3, that wasn't, that thing wasn't,
So these are the OPM, the project manager. Is the firm that we're looking to hire out of the 3 findings, which is what we did narrow down. For a number 1 company out of.
no. All right, so, well, do you want to present P3 to the board then, and why you chose them, and what we expect to be getting out of this?
The P3 people, they're a local company, they're right out of Norwell. We did get a fee schedule from them, and we also spoke with, or I spoke with the owners of the company. They all have in-house staff, they don't hire outside. And we spoke with, both Jake and myself spoke with Paul Armstrong down in Kingston, who has used them on several projects down there. We highly recommend them. And it's for that reason, the proximity, how close they are to us versus the company in Worcester and the company in Bedford, is why P3 would be our recommendation for the Board of Selectmen to hire as our consultant.
I'm actually a little confused, because I thought that what we need for capital planning is a cost on the building.
This is who will give it to us.
This is who's going to get it from.
They will put together the entire package, the cost.
For roughly the
Everything.
$25,000,
That's correct.
but that gives us nothing on the fire station. This is just the police.
Police station,
So do either of you have questions, concerns?
My only
Sure.
question is, have they done this type of building before? Have they designed?
They've done the police stations and they've done Big Bed.
Okay.
Susan.
Could you back up a step and just tell us what is it they're specifically gonna do? What did the RFP ask for them to do? Just, we've never seen it.
Where's the LPD?
I've everything got.
Actually, I have it right here. Do you want me to see it?
We're just, I mean, just so everybody knows, not just me.
Okay, the RFP was for a construction project consultant. The town of Plympton is in the design phase of constructing a new police station. This is a part-time consulting position. We are seeking a professional that is self-motivated and possess project management experience along with strong knowledge of public construction in Massachusetts. Duties will consist of reviewing preliminary site plan and tie-ins to existing infrastructure, placement of a 5,800 square foot modular and/or 30B stick-built police station on the site, costing of the project after consultation with civil engineers and modular and/or contract builders, creation of development schedule, cost estimating, and creation of RFP and bidding documents. The schedule is the cost estimating will be done by March 2nd. RFPs will be complete by April 27th. Job requirements: a successful applicant should have a minimum of 3 to 5 years' experience in the project management profession, a degree in construction management or engineering with emphasis on cost estimating. Applicant must also have a working knowledge of Massachusetts public construction and Chapter 30B requirements. This is a part-time contract consulting position. Ability to meet the required work schedule must. All proposals returned electronically by February 3rd.
Thank you.
So it's the recommendation of the building committee, the recommendation to the selectmen that P3 be hired to do
Next step.
that work.
Well, it's a recommendation of the subcommittee to recommend to the committee that we use B3. And then.
Oh, Lisa's got a question back there.
So I'd like to make a motion that we recommend P3 to the selectmen. This is from the building committee.
Okay,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so a vote.
Okay. So the committee has now recommended to this board that we hire P3.
Now we have to do that. We just recommended to the whole board. Now the board, as a member of the board, I'd recommend to the Board of Selectmen that the Board of Selectmen enter into contract with P3.
Can I have ask a question first? What does stick-built mean?
Conventional construction.
Okay, okay.
All right. So do you want to do that now, or should we continue discussion? Just so that part's out of
Did
the
you
way.
have a question, Lisa?
No, Lisa will get to.
Okay,
I don't mind waiting, yeah.
No,
okay.
just one sec. Do you want to recommend now to this board that,
So, as a member of the building committee, are we recommending that the building committee? Now we have to put in the form of a motion.
We just voted that.
They're all
Building
the-
committee just
the
voted
building
that.
Yes.
Accept your recommendation.
Yes, now, as a member of the board has to recommend to the Board of Selectmen that we recommend P3 be our consultant.
The sub,
okay, so
Okay,
that
so
that
that
would have
was
to be
the-
second. You guys would have to vote. and
All
then
in
it'll be
favor?
ours.
Okay.
Okay, so now the ball is in our ballpark, and we're gonna ask some questions, and FinCom's gonna ask some questions. Lisa?
So is this, first of all, is it $25,000? Is that what they're?
That's what was voted last year, I believe, that's the mayor.
Okay, but my question is, what exactly was voted at town meeting? I was under the impression that we were voting $25,000 to hire somebody to plan a fire and police station and the traffic flow and parking out here. Now we're spending all that money, the town voted to do those 3 projects on one. I have a major concern with that.
Do you want me to get the article?
Sure.
I mean, just
Yeah.
to clarify what was
Yeah, that's
voted
fine.
on.
Yeah.
Great.
So one point of clarification, I simply have forgotten. Do we need both the FinCom and Board of Selectmen to approve the hiring? It's just us.
I think it's just us.
Okay. So here's my question. If we go ahead with this, but time is short, now let me back up a step. I totally salute the committee for all the work that's been done. I mean, you guys have been meeting almost every Wednesday night or every other Wednesday night for months and months, and I think this is the 3rd committee that's been working on this project. I've sat through most of those meetings. I think we've made a lot of progress. We've gotten from the point of having no idea what we needed to do, narrowed it down. We've gotten to the place that we know a police station will fit on land that we own. We know that potentially we can purchase other land where a fire station could be. It is the committee's, I think, unanimous opinion that we should separate this project out and build the police station first, saving the fire for later on. So I totally salute the committee's work. One concern way back when this committee first started meeting, I'm not a member of this committee, but I think I've sat in on every meeting except maybe one, was the complexity of doing municipal buildings and the amount of time it takes to get it done. And we knew all along that March 30th or March 28th is when the warrant closes, and week after week after week, and now I think we're 5 weeks away from that. So my concern is that I think there's a strong likelihood that we're not going to be ready to have a warrant article to build this thing in fiscal year 17. If we're not, is this the appropriate time to be hiring the consultant? I know that was a long-winded thing, but again, obviously, if we're going to try to do this in fiscal year 17, well, I think we need to be hiring the consultant. If we don't think we're going to be able to build it in fiscal year 17, I wonder if now is the time to hire the consultant.
You could hire him now and stipulate that what you're looking for is just a number, not managing it for completion, but just the number that it's gonna cost to do it. And we're gonna need that no matter if it's this year or next year. You can always add 3% or whatever it is for escalating price. But we need to have the number, else we don't know what we're doing. Finance can't tell us yay or nay, or the town can't tell us yay or nay. We need that next big step, and that's the cost of that building and the infrastructure to get it done.
And I think that's a slightly different question as this is what we need in the immediate is a number. We particularly need the number, an estimate of what this is going to cost for the Collins Group so that we can do a 5-year plan and understand this whole thing. And therein lies another concern, and this is kind of complex because there are 3 different committees and we got a bunch of different questions, so there'll be a lot of balls in the air for a little while on this. But I think that is my other concern, is that what we need absolutely in the immediate is a cost estimate, which maybe is $5,000, not $24,700. Let's see.
Can we do both buildings? I'm sorry.
Well, that's what we're attempting to do. I mean, this is what we need the consultant for. I mean, they understand that we're looking for a police station and a fire station located on this property somewhere. We have some preliminary drawings which have been passed around, but until we actually hire a consultant and get some exact plans, then we really can't go ahead and get cost estimates. And this is what that original $25,000
And
is
would
for.
would the request for proposal have to go out again to look for somebody who's willing to just give us a price to do this, not manage the project,
That's
manage
the
2
question.
projects rather than just one?
That is a great question, and we have really been stumbling over that for the last few days, I think.
I think it's if you change the scope of what we asked for, then you have to re-advertise it.
Are you sure on that?
Well, the argument's going to be, if we're challenged, the argument's going to be, gee, I just wanted to do the cost estimating anyway. I didn't want to write the RFPs. If I'd have known that, I would have bid. And you're dead in the water in the eyes of the state. So that is the way it works legally.
And so if we went that right, we're looking at least a couple of weeks for this to be advertised again?
Depending on when it would go back in. If we did it back in the Central Register, we don't necessarily have to do it in the Central Register. It's not that kind of, especially if you limit the scope. But we would have to advertise. And again, if someone says, well, you just did the costing, you should have put it back in the Central Register. So if we do back in the Central Register, they publish every Wednesday, and there's generally a lag time of it may not be this Wednesday, it may be the following Wednesday when it goes in. It has to be there for 2 weeks.
So it maxed out, that's 4 weeks.
3 anyway, yeah.
Which puts us at mid-March already.
Well, you know,
confused, why do we have to put it out again?
Two different jobs.
It's,
Changing the scope of the work.
That's if we change it. I mean, I recommend we change the scope of the proposal now.
Susan?
So I have a question on comment, but so the question is, as it's written now, is it, and I'm sorry, Bob, I'm looking at it, it's only for the police station?
Yeah,
So we're not,
as the
So if
RFP
you
was
want-
written, it was only in the police.
so my comment would be having, you know, I view the Collins Center input to the town as a one-time here, opportunity for us to do really sound financial planning. And I know that this committee originally was looking at 2 buildings, and the accountant's input decided we actually can't afford that. Okay, we'll do the fire station later. But what's gonna, 3 years from now, we're not gonna, it's unlikely we're gonna have any major new source of revenue. Nothing's gonna be different. How are we gonna do it? We have a professional group now that maybe can help us understand how to do it. Maybe there's a way to do both buildings at the same time. This is we're getting expertise that we I think don't have. So, but in order to do their job, they have to have prices for costing for both buildings. If the fire station is plus or minus $1 million, that may make all the difference in the world in their planning. And so, and I understand we need a police station. I fully understand it and support that. But to hurry this up for this year, and essentially not plan well for the next 25, to me, is very, very foolish. So from where I sit, what we need are prices for the 2 buildings. And without that, the Collins Center can't do their work. They can't help us figure out how we're gonna finance them. And so yes, we could push forward and get one building done and then maybe not be able to address the needs of the other department, whether it's a building, however that is. So I think we have to be really, really careful not to, I know everybody wants to do it this year, and I think that we have to look at a long-term view and not this short-term view.
All right.
Couple of things. We all agree that there is a need for a police station. The space that the police department is in now is not fit for the purpose it's being used. Secondly, with regard to the fire station, as far as I'm concerned, both as a member of the Public Safety Building Committee and a taxpayer, I am absolutely not convinced that we need to spend millions of dollars on a new fire station. I think the jury is out on that. I've talked to the deputy chief, and he said, why don't we just invest some money over here in this building? So I think if we're talking about a fire station, we've got the cart way before the horse. And I would be vehemently opposed to anything going forward with the fire department, with the fire station, until we get estimates on what it would take to rehab this building. And, I mean, there are buildings in Boston that are hundreds of years old, and they're still standing. I think Tom Brady might live in one. So, I think we need to take a look at that rather than spend $3 or $4 million. Then maybe it might be cheaper to spend $500,000 or $750,000 or $1 million bringing this one up to code and doing what we need to. I mean, that just makes sense to me.
Well, and there is sometimes grant money available for those
There is
projects.
for rehab, but there is not for new construction.
Right, for rehab.
Exactly.
The only thing I can say is that when we started this, we said in our very first meeting that we were going to base our work on the backs of the previous committee and on the Reinhardt report, both of which said that building is not rebuildable, that a new building is needed. And I understand, Art, that you don't believe that, but this is what we agreed to as a committee in our first meeting.
Well, I don't know where that steering came from, but again, I stand on what I said. No, I don't believe it.
But you were at the first meeting and you did vote to agree that.
I think all of these comments are the exact reason we need project manager. This is what they do.
Sir.
Just a comment. For the purposes of financial planning, if we were to get a cost estimate for a new building, regardless of what the public safety building may decide or what we may decide we can afford, for the purposes of our planning reasons, a cost estimate for a new fire building would be considered a worst-case scenario. So if we had that and then could decide we could go ahead with that, great. But if that turned out to be something that was not feasible, well, then maybe we go back and consider some of our considerations. But I think, just to piggyback on what Susan said, to have a long-term vision, we need to have that worst-case scenario number. So I would second the idea and the suggestion to get a cost estimate for both buildings at this time.
Susan.
And I don't want to get into a debate, because I was on the committee that preceded this one, and, you know, town meeting appropriated, we hired professional engineers and architects who came in, told us that building cannot be brought up to code, it can't meet, and I don't want to get in the debate, because I'm not an engineer or an architect. We did have an architect on our committee who absolutely agreed with that assessment. So that's what I'm basing, what I, you know, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, we can rehab the building, that's fine. But just to Bob Carling, that is not, a project manager isn't gonna come in here and say, yeah, you can renovate that building, or you need to build a new one. That's a decision that's made at, you know, and then you give them, or you can have them cost or go forward with it. But that bigger decision is not, you're not, that RFP isn't hiring someone who's gonna help with that decision. It's not, we've done a structural analysis of the building, you can have somebody review those results. But that's not gonna happen as part of this hiring.
When the committee first started, we were all under the impression that we had finances to cover both buildings. We didn't know till you guys came in at about 5 or 6 weeks after we had started that we were cash strapped. And now we dropped the fire station and solely concentrated on the police station, which had a number that we could accept, the 1.5 million. We have looked at where the fire stations can go and making arrangements for the road that access that area, so that we have the money for the fire station, we have the area, and we have the road in. There's certain things missing on the fire station, but some of that stuff can be added. The ventilation system can be added, where they clean their outfits and everything can be done. Right now, they're looking for as a fire station, they want 5 bays, 90 feet long, and this is where the number went out, and this is what it was proposed to us, to put that into our number, and then you told us we don't have that number.
To back up,
Yeah.
no one ever asked us anything about, I just want it on the
Yeah.
record, the finance committee, and I don't believe any of the town finance people ever said there was enough money. No one ever asked us until you asked us. We worked with the accountant, came up with some analysis. So I just want to make that
I know.
clear. That came from somewhere else. It
No,
didn't come from
it
us.
was a great thing that you came, because we were under the impression that we had plenty of money.
We didn't change it. We didn't change
And
it.
that was what as a group, we thought we were gonna make this, we were gonna build the world.
But this exact confusion, you know, again, professionals say you can't rehab that building. You people think you can. I don't know. But we're sitting here talking about multi-million dollars worth of projects and other things, and we can't dash into it. We have to figure this out somehow, in my opinion, before we start building one of those buildings.
That's why we considered where the fire station's gonna go. We're making amends so that we can put it, so it's part of this complex. And at that point, we get more money, so it still can be done where we put it.
But in order to have the people that are professionals that are now helping us figure out how to finance these buildings, give us that advice, they have to have a number.
So if
We
you
have a
throw
number.
say 7 million. That's what the number was for the fire station.
hiring professionals to cost it. So this is why I think that we, in my opinion, we're not ready. The town isn't ready to move forward on these projects.
Let's, Chief and then Dale.
Mr. Chairman, through you, it might be a good idea maybe to get a representative from the FinCom to maybe sit in as an advisor on the building committee, like myself and the fire chief, just to act as a conduit to the FinCom. I know that you guys got a lot of meetings coming up.
Not this time of year.
I know, but it'll just be more of a direct conduit as far as getting information back and forth.
Well, 5 of them were volunteering at once.
Well, I think the finance committee as a whole right now thinks that we need price for both buildings. And that's, I don't think there's really much more input than we can give than that right now.
Dale?
The working number for the police station that we've been using is $1.5 million, and that's based on a cost of $192 a square foot for a 5,800 square foot wood frame building. That's more than your average, way more actually. It's more than your average 4-bedroom house in town that's finished and done and bathroomed, 3 bathrooms, kitchen, garages, and all of that. In fact, it's about $40 a square foot more. And actually, it's a simpler building. The thing that drives it up is the cell block. That's a custom design, so that adds to it. But that makes the total cost $1,103,000. If the site work to accommodate the police station balloons to $400,000, I can't see that happening, but if it did, we're at the $1.5 million figure. That was why we used the working number of $1.5 million. And in terms of Collins, they're a great organization and they're a great study. I don't think they can come up with a better target number. There isn't anybody in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts that's built a 5,800 square foot police station.
They want us to give them one.
May I finish, please? There's no one in the Commonwealth that's built a 5,800 square foot fire station, police station for that kind of money. It's a bargain. It's a good way to do it. The committee thinks it's a good way to do it, but let me also finish that if the Finance Committee is not convinced, or the Board of Selectmen is not convinced, or either of those two boards are not convinced, then let's stop this now and stop wasting everybody's time, because if you don't vote affirmatively, or if they don't vote affirmatively, no one's touching the $1 million that's in the capital stabilization account for anything. And it's just senseless to spin around in this circle if that's what it's going to be. It can be done. It can be done this year. I don't think Collins would come up with it as a bad idea once they reviewed the whole thing. But to get both buildings, you don't know what a fire station is going to cost 3 years from now or 4 years from now. Okay, I'm done.
So,
Well, I just think we need an RFP for the costs on both buildings.
So to bring it back to the immediate point, the thing we're deciding tonight is on the recommendation of the building committee to hire the consultant. And that's what we have to consider, whether we vote or not tonight. So just a couple things that I'll say. As many of you heard, I was at the Massachusetts Municipal Association annual meeting a few weeks ago, and the Selectmen's portion of that meeting was totally about municipal buildings, and the theme for close to 2 hours was how complex this is, how long it takes. I think we're in the 4th year of these meetings. Reinhardt goes back, it must be at least 3.5 years now, I think. And we had a committee before that. So I know it's frustrating, and I know it's, we're still tugging and we still have unanswered questions. And I can't stress enough that we've made progress. I honestly kind of, at least for one, don't feel we're ready either. And I kind of doubt, I'm not sure the Board of Selectmen, I think right now FinCom certainly would be very hesitant to commit to an article to build this thing this year. on the big level, we have a wonderful group, the Collins Group, that's going to give us advice. They're trying to look at the big picture, and to make a decision before they've gotten information to us, it's unfortunate they didn't get started a little sooner, and it may be by April or May, looking at the big picture of this town over the next 5 or 10 years, I think they're going to be very much able to help us prioritize which capital projects to do, and to make this decision before Collins Group has their stuff, to me seems like it's nuts. I mean, the fundamental question we're arguing about here is what can we afford, and that's what Collins Group is going to hopefully answer for us as best they can. So that's issue number one. I absolutely don't feel particularly comfortable about this, whether we do the fire station now or 5 years from now or never, unless we kind of have a master plan, an overall view of what we're going to do with public safety buildings and a bigger master plan for the town in general. It just doesn't make sense to go ahead. I know there's going to be frustration on the committee if we don't go ahead this year. I think we need to slow it down a little. I think it absolutely makes sense for the committee to keep working, going full speed ahead, so that when we have all this information collected, that we'll be able to go to town meeting next year, ask for the money to build this thing, and be ready to start July of 17. And then the last thing I'll say is it feels to me like that what we're circling around is that maybe we need to revise the role of the consultant we'd like to hire to something a little bit different and something much more around what these costs are. So that's my humble opinion.
The committee is, last time we were all together, we all agreed that we're pretty much dead in the water until we have a consultant. That there was no reason for any future meetings until we hired someone. And this is where we are as a committee.
That was a unanimous decision by the whole committee, we felt.
We have to.
Well, and
where do we go from here?
Where you?
Can't have a consultant. If we don't get a consultant, where do we go from here?
And again, I'm not on the committee, but I think where you go from here is not that you close down operations, but that absolutely continue. Keep the committee going, revise the consultant request for proposal to something lesser that's much more defined in the information we need right now. Get that information, get it to Collins, see what Collins has to say, continue to gather information potentially on the police station, whether there's any chance that the old thing can be renovated or whether we should go the new. We need to answer that question. And I mean, the tension we've had and continue to have is we haven't answered the question. So I think we have to pick off the questions. And the questions are, what's it going to cost? How much do we have? And what can we do with the old fire station, or do we need to build a new one? You guys need to keep working on that.
We need people to tell us how much it's going to cost.
Which is the consultant.
How much is it gonna cost to just get a consultant in here to cost those two buildings? To just give us costs? Because that's really all we need.
We were limited to the $25,000, I believe it's.
Yeah, the max is the 25,000. The way to get reasonable cost estimates, the way to get more accurate cost estimates is to give a set of specs, to send a set of specs out, ask in an RFP, and ask for them. The reason we gave up doing the fire station, or the committee gave up doing the fire station, was it was all over the board as to what was actually needed for a new fire station, how big it was, 90-foot base, 75-foot base, et cetera, et cetera. So that's why it went, and that still hasn't been resolved. If you want to kick it in and resolve that, that's fine. You can, the committee could do that.
Which recommended a 15,000 square foot fire station, which is crazy for this size town. I'm sorry. 14 or 15,000 square foot is enormous.
Considering they only have 6,000 now, yeah.
And this is why we decided to separate the two projects. We're not looking to build something like that. We're really not.
Art?
When Ron Hart was in here, I met with them regarding the Board of Health. And what they asked us was, well, if you could have anything, what are you gonna need? What would be really nice to have? Conference rooms and things like that. It was a kind of a pie in the sky thing. We said, at Susan, I know you're shaking your head, but you weren't at our meeting. okay?
I know what we asked them to do.
Well, what we got was, well, it'd be nice to have this, and it'd be nice to have secure storage for other things that we have, and it just went on and on and on. And, yeah, I mean, if I had a wish list, boy, that'd be swell. But somebody's gotta pay for
Point
it.
of clarification, what the committee asked the consultant to do was to go to every department in town and ask what is it you want? It's what FinCom does every year. Bring us the budget that's what you want. It doesn't mean you're gonna have it, but let's understand what are the needs. The only way you can, maybe it's conference rooms. Maybe if every department says that, well, then they know that's the priority. So they did do that. And what they did was present a plan that went out, I think, 15 years to address the needs of other buildings, including this. They had to ask those questions together. They weren't trying to embellish everything that they did. And I take offense, Art, at the way you criticize. We worked really hard on that committee. Now, you may think the fire station is too big, and it may be, and that's fine. I would obviously rather build a less expensive building. But to imply that these professionals are not competent and didn't do a good job.
I did not imply that, so.
You just said they came in here for pie in the sky.
Well, they came in and asked what would be great. And to me, that's, okay, yeah, we'd like this, we'd like that. And when you come up with a 15,000 square foot fire station for the town of Plympton, I have no building experience in fire departments, but that's nuts.
So, if I can go on. So, I absolutely think that you should still issue the RFP. I think it needs to be adjusted. I don't think, we're not suggesting stop work, or that FinCom would suggest. So maybe what the RFP has to be is, or maybe it's 2 RFPs, I mean, and maybe you go with an article to town meeting if you don't have enough money, but maybe you have somebody come in here and help take the Reinhardt study, look at our fire station and figure out what size we actually need. If you can't get any further without professional help, then that's fine. Tell us what, figure out what that help is, and let's fund it and let's get it in here.
I think that we've actually already done that. We took that report, we took what the chief wanted, and we brought it down into a realm of reasonableness for our town.
The Reinhardt recommendation was for an 8,000 square foot police station, which is 1,000 square feet bigger than the one that Kingston is about to build now. I mean, don't forget, and they did a great job with the study, they were a great bunch of professionals, but they're architects. And they get 10% of the bottom line when they get the contract to design these buildings. So they have no incentive not to make it and give you everything you want, because the bigger it is, the more money they get paid. That's the American way. I have no problem with that, but you need to be a little wiser than that, which is why after going over it with the chief and several others, he did a lot of research, Chief Dillon did, and I did some research. It seemed like 5,800 square feet would fit. It would take care of the town's needs into the future for decades, and it could be done in a modular way, and that just reduced the cost of the whole thing. And I mean, I understand that the FinCom wants numbers on the fire station, but the committee was so far from having any consensus about what the fire station should be that that's why it was decided to just go with the police station, because the police station is a primary outstanding problem for the town of Plympton. It is totally inadequate and it's not up to it, so it needs to be replaced. And it's not going to be replaced for less than $1.5 million, or $1.6 million, or $1.7 million. I mean, it was the cheapest Reinhardt solution was $7.5 million. I'm trying to answer your question, but you're really not listening to me. You're having a conversation with another member, and you're both having a chuckle. This is what I'm talking about, wasting time. I don't really like to waste my time doing this.
I don't need to be reprimanded by you, thank you.
Okay.
I don't need to be ignored. You asked a question. I was trying to help you out. I was trying to enlighten.
It's just went up 15% in the course of your own sentence.
What are you talking about?
You went from 1.5 to 1.7, so clearly you don't know what the cost is. That's exactly our point.
No.
That's why we have to hire this group of people.
We're not arguing that point, but don't reprimand me when you clearly.
Please don't sit in the don't sit in the office.
Numbers around by yourself.
Don't sit in the office and laugh at me like I don't know what I'm talking about.
Guys and girls, everyone, let's just take a breath. Go ahead.
So, this committee is in place because of the Board of Selectmen. So what would you like us to do? What would we like the committee to do? I'm thinking that you want us to go back. We've done good work. You guys have just read all these applications, and that was good work. It's not wasted. We rewrite the IRFPs just for costing the two buildings. Whether we build a building or not is a completely separate issue.
Before we do anything, can I make one recommendation? The president of the company, I mean, he's very close. Can I ask him to join our next meeting to let him give a little presentation of exactly what it is his company does and will do if he is hired, before we ask the board to try and make any type of a decision on the contract? Where they have municipal experience. I mean, let him meet with the building committee and maybe bring in a member of the FinCom to sit in on the meeting and see just what they plan on doing for the money that we're going to pay them, before this board makes a decision on whether or not to hire or not hire somebody. Get a little more information.
I think the problem is that that still doesn't address the fire department.
No, it doesn't, but
Fire
that would
building
be
issue.
part of what I would want to ask him is, can we do this in separate phases, phase 1, 2, and 3, which is part of what the board discussed. I mean, phase 1 would be the police station, phase 2, fire station, in phase 3, whatever ended up afterwards. But part of our discussions was the purchasing of land and coming up with a master plan, which is what we need desperately. And I think part of what this company may do is help us develop that by sitting with the committee and helping us come up with it. We may not be able to get it done this year, and he may very well agree with all of us.
The problem is the RFP did not include what we need, which is really costing on the buildings.
This is why, hopefully he would be able to answer the questions. Can they develop, costs
That's
for us to bring to FinCom and everyone else? I think it's part of what they will do.
It's an interesting piece. There are a couple of comments down here. Marilyn?
I think we should go over the article that was presented at town meeting, because I think the folks in town are expecting that this $25,000 would cover both facilities. And, if you want to read it, I think that would be helpful, but.
I mean, as a committee member, we're not trying to spend money.
I'm sure you're not.
We're trying to get it done
Sure you're not.
very cost effectively. And I think, the president of the company, he has had experience in Kingston. We spoke with the building commissioner down there, and he highly recommended this company. I'd like to get some input from him to see just where we are and where we need to go. Because I think we're at a stumbling block here.
I'm just, from what Dale said, it almost sounds like it's illegal for us now to
Yeah,
add, you know
that's-
what I mean? Like, we need
Yes.
to issue a new RFP in order to have all, I don't understand RFP
All
anyway.
right.
But I mean,
You change
according
the
to
scope,
Dale, in
you have
order
to
to
do
have
that.
somebody, you have to change the scope of the thing, you have to reissue, even if we end up going with them.
Yeah.
And tell them, we only have to do this because it has to be done. But it sounds like, I don't know, that's the impression I got, that this has to be done before we can go further.
If you try to meet with them now, that would be a violation.
I don't think it's a violation.
I mean, it makes common sense to me to meet with them and pick their heads a little, but I do hear there probably is concern about procurement and bidding. The key in the immediate is Collins Group is sort of tapping their toes, waiting for numbers, and we got to get numbers. And I wonder if the first step isn't just another RFP that gets us some numbers. We get to that step, and then we look again at who could be our best consultant. I mean, we are in this place that we're all trying hard, but we don't have the expertise, and we need some expertise. And
Give them the Collins numbers. Give them the low option on the Reinhardt numbers.
They have a drawing that includes the fire station, so we can get a number for the fire station because of the footage. That first drawing that we got when all three of us were packed up here.
So I think what I'm saying, at least, and we'll see what my colleagues think, is that I would be enthusiastic about a new RFP that got us some numbers, and that then we go from there. But getting numbers really quickly so the Collins Group can plug it in, and then they can answer the question for us of how much can we afford.
So based on the drawings that we've already come up with, which are not architectural drawings, they're just, in-house designed, conceptual, get numbers.
You just take the fire station where we've had it in numerous places and you punch it in over there.
Right.
I mean, we might spend $5,000, but or whatever it's going to be, I think that's what P3 had in their list of stuff they could do, but that seems like it's money pretty well spent to at least feel like we have some credibility in whatever numbers we go with.
I feel it's gonna cost us money to get numbers.
It is,
Yeah,
right.
and
I agree with Bob, we really need them down here so we can explain our position.
but I think that's to me, that's kind of a separate thing, that in the immediate, as fast as possible, we need some numbers, and then we need a better idea of how to move forward with the process, and how to move forward with some expertise informing us.
If just cost estimates alone for the two buildings is gonna be a lower dollar figure deal, then it necessarily doesn't have to be an RFP, correct? It would be, is it under the threshold?
No, well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I think it would be more expensive to actually get a hard cost estimate. We'd have to give them specifications for the buildings. The police station would be relatively easy because it's not a complex building, and we've already done that. The fire station, we haven't done that, and like I said, in the committee, there's really no consensus over what that building, how big it should be, what it should contain, and so on. So we'd have to establish that to be able to put it out. I'm not sure you could get an accurate cost estimate. I would go with the Reinhardt, as far as Collins is concerned, I would go with the Reinhardt numbers. Their lowest option was $7.5 million, which was obviously rejected because that would hit people's tax rates, which is why we went with the lesser option, modular, and using the existing site here for the police station, because that doesn't hit people's tax rates. It's paid for out of the capital account.
Okay, my feeling is that we should meet as a committee next week, come up with a new ad requesting estimates on two buildings. We look at the buildings, do our best drawing, and we pretty much have done that at the beginning, before we decided to focus on the police station. So we're backing up a little so that we can go forward.
Is the way the article written, are we allowed to do that?
You mean the,
Here's the article.
read the article, it's the best thing to do.
To see if the town will vote to raise or appropriate or transfer from available funds the sum of $25,000 to employ an engineering project consultant to review plans, request for proposals, and final bids for construction of public safety facilities and related infrastructure improvements.
Well, that's pretty clear.
Well, we don't have the
We don't have
plans.
plans.
We
Right.
have a plot plan, basically, that's it. And a couple of square footages, 5,800 for the police station, and I don't know what we ended
None-
up with the fire
none
station.
for the fire station.
That's all you have, so all you're gonna get back is a square foot estimate with what we have.
Can you get a drawing from that prehab, what it looks like inside?
We have a basic floor plan. I mean, it's laid out as a police station. They did the research.
That
And
one is the easy one then.
yeah, I mean, we could just adapt the plans here. Their building, in fact, that's how big their building was. It was 5,800 square feet, same, and it was, it would cover a town for a population of up to probably 10,000. Certainly 10,000. And I mean, Plympton will probably never have a population of 10,000 because it's just not that kind of town that you can develop that way.
Don't have the land.
There's just, we got too much wetland, too much agricultural land, which is a good thing. I'm just saying, I don't think your population's ever getting to 10,000 here.
And didn't we come up with a drawing for the fire down to like 7 or 8?
Square feet, 1,000 square feet? No, I don't think it got that small. They're in 6,000 square feet right now. And they need, the equivalent of that trailer is a little over 1,000 square feet.
So
They
that's the
need,
7.
they need that facility built in, plus they need some other facilities built in that are beyond the apparatus base for vehicles,
So 9.
10, I mean, 10 seems like it would be a good working number. Bays at 75 feet in length, which is 10 feet longer than they have over there now, especially in terms of a drive-through building. You know, Plympton's not going to be buying a lot more extra apparatus than they have. We don't need a ladder truck in town. That would be the only other big purchase. Although on the occasions that we do need it, you can call for mutual aid on that. But we don't have buildings that really require that. And I mean, in the end, we had to buy the vehicle to cover the pumping at Cisco when they built their building, and we did. That's already purchased and on the way to being paid for. But I mean, in terms of a ladder truck, I don't anticipate that Plympton would need one. The only buildings would be either Light Control or Cisco that are big enough to require that. And if any one of those buildings has a major fire, it will be all hands on deck. There'll be every town in the area here. Yeah, and there's those buildings.
So I think that we can back up and look at our previous drawings and use them as a basis for getting some cost estimate.
Well, this RFP has costing of the project. So we just need a cost for the fire station.
Right.
So you just need to issue another RFP for costing for the fire station, right?
But,
25,000 for that one?
yeah.
This is gonna be 25,000 for this whole
Yeah.
thing? Oh, hello.
Well, it's not necessarily, but I mean, it's going to be a big chunk of it. I mean, it's
Yeah,
going
but
to...
if we just do costing though,
But you can't,
for a fire station,
They
not
list-
design.
They listed in their list of all these different things,
Well,
5,000.
then in that,
for
we have
cost.
to have a design from somewhere to cost it out.
Okay.
That's the problem you have.
Which we do. We have the Reinhardt design, right?
Right, and Reinhardt already costed that out as a stick-built building, and their combination building, their lowest option was $7.5 million.
Well, that sounds like worst case scenario.
Well, I mean, and that's a number to use to give to Collins so they can work with it. At least it's a number they can work with. If you can get in under that, you're obviously so much better, which I think you can.
So we're going to move toward wrapping up. Susan?
so, just to complicate things, I was on the school building committee, and what we did is we got a small sum of money, hired someone to get us a design, and then we had the design done. Does it make sense to look at the town meeting this year for more money to actually draw plans that you can then bring next year because it seems like if you wait till next town meeting and you don't have any actual plans done, you can't put them out to bid until the plans are done, the actual engineered plans. Do you not do public safety buildings that way? You don't do that step of having a design done that you can then use to bid?
Yeah, with stick-built, I mean, yeah, if you build them under 149, Chapter 149 or 30B, yeah, absolutely you do. If you take the modular option, it's different. You're out of that design phase. The design is actually done by the contractor who puts the building together. And so, I mean, my suggestion would be to get RFPs for modular buildings in terms of fire and police.
But that RFP was modular and stick built.
Yes.
Modular and/or, yeah.
What?
For either.
I don't want it in my bag.
So,
We don't want to spend beyond the $25,000 principal. I mean, we just need to consult them now to get us started with the police station. I mean, we have no intention of spending all the money on all of that 25, on just the police station.
So I think what Colleen's saying though, if they could issue a new RFP, maybe for 2 modular buildings, a police station, a fire station, who can give us a price on these, and you go from there.
and price and speed. So I'm going to make a motion that the Board of Selectmen suggests that the Public Safety Building Committee meet next week and continue their work and take into account what we've discussed tonight and pursue new avenues that would get us costs and ways to move forward.
For both buildings.
That they at least continue that discussion.
Okay.
So that's a motion. Is there a second?
Don't you already have a motion on the board of what we gave to you?
Suppose we do.
Yeah, we do. We need to vote that first.
All right, I'm gonna,
All right, so I think you made the motion, I think Colleen seconded it to
all right, so in
hire the
that,
consultant?
all right, let's start again. Yeah, you, go ahead.
No, our motion can stand. Our motion was just a motion to recommend it.
Right.
Okay.
And then we had discussion, so we don't have a
All right,
motion.
so we're not gonna take any
Okay, so we
action on
didn't
that
do it.
motion
Committee
tonight.
was to
And-
recommend.
What?
It was, one was to recommend it
Yeah,
And that was
to
it?
the board, and then that board has to then go to you.
Which we did.
They did. They made the recommendation to us.
And
So-
then there was another vote.
yeah, so we heard your recommendation.
Subcommittee to come to.
Gotcha.
And that was another vote.
And now we are gonna suggest that the committee meet and take into account what we discussed to hopefully find a way to get cost analysis to us and move forward in some other way. So that motion's on the floor. Will someone second it? Just so-
Second.
All right, more discussion and we'll have a vote momentarily. All right. Any last words?
That you'll be meeting Wednesday, the 24th at 6 PM?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, there's a motion firsted and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right.
Is it possible to bring a warrant article, do we have time for the design of the police station for this town meeting?
I think I would recommend that, because I think you're gonna need an actual engineered plan of where it is, what it's gonna look like, to sell it to the people in town. You need, and I absolutely think you should go for that money this year. And then next year,
And
you're
next year,
ready to
maybe-
put the plans out to bid and go.
Which is actually a
Okay.
much more traditional way to do this. Figure out the cost, figure out 10% of the cost in design planning, approve that at one town meeting, have a year to work on it, next town meeting, approve the money to build the whole thing.
Well, if we had all of our ducks in a row, we might be able to fund the design this year and then fund the building next year.
Exactly.
That's correct.
Yeah,
Exactly.
And we did do a lot of engineering
Yeah.
work this year.
Okay.
And had, conceptual designs for
Site plan already
the
process.
campus.
okay, so it might be a pretty easy process then, to get somebody in to just design the building, the police station, because there's not a whole lot to it either.
But you'll still have to try and get a price for the two buildings.
Yes, but we still need a cost for the two buildings, just for planning purposes.
Okay. We appreciate all the work of
I
all
know,
the
it's
people
been-
in
it's so
this present
frustrating.
committee. And
I move we adjourn.
Second.
You want?
Aye.
Thank you.
So moved.
Thanks, gentlemen. and
Thank you,
gentlelady.
thank you for all your work.
And thanks, Finance Committee.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay, Dale, did you have any, or, sorry, Bree?
What was that? Just vote for.
They just adjourned their meeting, you don't have to worry
Just
about that.
adjourn- oh, I
Yeah.
don't have to?
No.
Dale, do you have any more
No.
in your stuff?
No, I'm all set.
All right, correspondence.
Okay. All right, from South Shore Community Action Council, dear Mark, nothing says I love you like a form letter. In all seriousness, on behalf of the staff and clients of South Shore Community Action Council, I want to extend a heartfelt thank you for your continued support. We truly appreciate your commitment to making a difference in our South Shore community. Have a happy Valentine's Day, from Patricia Daly.
Can we just pause for a minute?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
the camera's gonna be getting a lot of,
Guys, can we respectfully request that conversation go outside?
Okay.
Boy, it's so much quieter when we're alone.
All right, we have an appointment request from the chief. Honorable Selectmen, I write to request that you appoint Mr. Dana Smith to the rank of part-time police officer with the town of Plympton Police Department. Dana is currently a special officer with the town and has previously served as a part-time police officer, I also request that you vote to change the appointment status of Officer Scott Peterson. Scott is a longtime part-time officer within our department. He has requested a change from his rank as a part-time officer to that of a special police officer. Both officers are highly regarded by their peers and the community. I fully support these personnel changes and ask you to consider this request. So he has asked that we appoint Officer Dana Smith as a part-time officer until June 30th of 2016, and Scott Peterson as a special police officer until June 30th of 2016.
So is that a motion?
I'll make a motion
And
that
I
we...
will second that motion.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Okay, we should probably shut the door. All right,
Maybe we can summarize.
yeah, from Xfinity, as you know, we announced a multi-year plan to reinvent the customer experience. Transforming customer experience is our #1 goal. Starting March 7th, we'll simplify our installation charges in your community by introducing a single professional installation charge of $79.99. So that's what they're doing for community customer service. Okay, this is from Tara. Yeah, from Tara. It is the warrant for the presidential primary that she's asked us to sign. Looks like we don't need to vote it. It's just we sign it at the meeting.
Okay, we are each signing, Selectmen, all
Yes,
three of us.
we all sign.
So I think this is the one that's posted, so we have to use our really pretty signatures.
Use a pen. Okay, from the Halifax Town Administrator, Charlie Seelig, it says, "Dear Plympton Board of Selectmen, thank you for providing the Halifax Board of Selectmen a copy of your letter to Ed and Melissa Place concerning their dog Ace. The Halifax Board of Selectmen appreciates the time you took to render an equitable decision that would protect the interest of all parties involved in this matter. The board also thanks you for your help in working with the town's officials on this cross-town issue." So that was a very nice letter from Charlie. Old Colony Elder Services, join us to celebrate the opening of our new satellite office. You're cordially invited to our open house March 2nd, 10 a.m. to noon, 204 South Meadow Road in Plymouth. So that's Old Colony Elder Services. No, I can't do any of that stuff there either. Okay, looks like we've got a couple of copies of dog complaints from Frank Bush. Looks like incidents at Cato's Ridge. Both of these incidents, but actually no, this one was at Harry Jason Park. So,
I missed that one. I think each of these are dogs that attacked each other, ended up with veterinary bills, and they are pursuing
legal.
Yeah, it's really just informing us.
Yeah.
Doesn't require
It's
action.
kind of an FYI, right, no action required.
Yep.
Okay, and then as a follow-up, looks like he sent us 2 copies of those, or another copy of that. Yep, that's the same thing.
For you.
All right, from Frank, some questions I have about issuing a permanent restraining order. Okay. Possible liabilities issues involving dogs allowed to be at large in town. I think this is, Frank, his follow-up from these 2 incidents
Yeah, and I
with
think
the dogs.
kind of pushing for, wondering that without a leash law, how enforceable some of this is. This is a big issue.
It is a big issue.
And albeit an important issue, I honestly feel like we have so much on our plate right now. This wouldn't be a good time to be addressing this.
Well, we don't have anywhere to put dogs at this time that would be picked up, correct?
No, that Frank has facilities at his home.
Oh, does he have facilities at his home?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And we pay them.
Halifax is like a contract, Harvard.
Yeah, we at one point took dogs, I think, to Carver as well.
This is a subject comes up, it's really part of regionalization as well, and we just haven't, it's one of those sort of proactive things that we never quite get to.
You know what, maybe we can kind of keep this on our radar and work on it this summer, or when
That's,
time
good one
permits.
for the parking lot, and of course, this summer, we'll have nothing more we want to do than leash
Talk about
laws.
dogs. Okay. All right. Oh, this is a nice piece of news from Old Colony Planning Council. The Old Colony Planning Council is pleased to inform you that we have approved the town of Plympton's Delta project request to explore regionalization initiatives between Plympton, Halifax, Kingston, and Carver. The point of contact for this project will be Senior Community Planner Eric Arbeen. He's the gentleman that came in and did the that presentation for us. So we've got his information, so that might be, something that we can talk about with Eric.
Yeah, I'd mention that I've been working with Eric on the aggregation thing, and he has just been wonderful. He's been helpful. The Old Colony Planning Council has been wonderful on helping the Open Space Committee with some mapping issues, and they've been a real resource.
Oh, they are. They are.
They got their acts together, and they are.
They're a
being
wealth of
service.
information.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, renewable central heating. What is this from Maine Energy Systems? Renewable central heating has been installed in homes in Pembroke with mass reward amounts increased for an opportunity for Plympton residents to begin learning about their thermal biomass and using this clean technology to reduce their own fossil fuel dependence. Okay, this is, I think, more of an ad. Thank you. Okay, another thing from Old Colony Planning Council is developing a bicycle and pedestrian connectivity and safety study. To assist with this study, Old Colony Planning Council is forming a bicycle and pedestrian advisory committee and request your participation and/or the identification of potential participants. The objective of the study is to support ongoing local, regional, and state planning efforts for multimodal urban and suburban mobility, enhance and expand current infrastructure, improve safety, and raise awareness of pedestrian and bicycle movement within the region. Looks like we're going to meet with an advisory committee, 6:30 p.m. on Wednesday, February 24th. Don't we have a meeting? Oh, is that when your meeting is?
6
Yeah.
o'clock.
Okay.
I had hoped to go to this, and I think maybe I'll want to go to the public safety building meeting. But,
I'll go to this one.
oh, great!
Yeah,
Great!
So
Wonderful.
I'll do that one. Can you RSVP that I'll go to that one?
Anything you can grab in the way of literature, I'd be very interested
Absolutely.
in that.
Yeah, I think this probably came out of that survey that I think it was the Department of Transportation put out looking for people's concerns about transportation, and I think bicycle and pedestrian was definitely one of them.
It is a great quality of life issue.
Oh, you're taking your life in your hands riding on some of these roads. It's crazy. Yeah, so I'll definitely report back on that. From Plymouth County Extension 4-H Youth Development Program, enclosed you'll find a copy of our annual report. Okay, so that's their annual report. You may want to contact them and have them give it to you electronically.
I also believe this was the request.
Oh, they're not going to get any money from us.
Okay.
Yeah,
So that's why she was,
Okay.
somebody that dropped the ball last year. That's why
Okay.
we had never gotten anything.
okay,
And now she's on top of it.
okay,
So she's gonna send it.
okay,
I think she was channeling Joe there.
yeah, no money.
Right.
All right, from Eversource, this is, let's see, the Eversource intends to selectively apply herbicides along the power line right-of-ways that pass through your municipality. So it looks like for us, got a little map here.
The train tracks?
No, this is the electrical right away.
Oh, I already decided to know.
Yeah, sort of along the
Oh,
north
yeah,
border.
Little Indian Pond.
Kingston, yeah.
Yeah, so it's, I mean, it doesn't really follow roads. It goes over the Jones River Brook. It's just under the high tension lines, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
This
so,
comes up every year. There are communities, particularly on the Cape, that have challenged this and have asked for something other than herbicide. We have each year not commented during the comment period. And that's where that stands.
okay. Comments are due by the close of business on Friday, March 25th, if you're so inclined to comment.
Last year, we had some beekeepers that raised some concerns.
Okay.
Yeah.
No. Okay, let's see, so we did the appointment request, that's, all right, all right, do you want me to hold this until the 22nd? This is a letter from the Housleys on the medical marijuana. Looks like they're not gonna be able to attend, and
I think we've all received that, and I think we can sort of comment on it or bring it up next time,
okay.
next Monday night.
All right, so
yeah.
I'll hold that until,
Yeah.
yep. All right, and then that is just,
This
for us, we all have a
will
copy of that.
Do in executive session land stuff Monday night,
Okay.
so that can,
All right, so lastly, I'm trying to do these in order. Okay, this was the meeting on, when was this? This is the paper from the 5th, where we had the dog hearing. And who does the headlines? Is that Deb?
It's not me, that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, it's no joy for Plympton dog hearing. All right.
above the fold, no less.
Yes, above the fold, no less. All right. Surprised you didn't have a picture of me with like.
A lot of attention in that paper.
There was a lot of, yeah, we got a lot of space in this paper. It was also talking about the marijuana. We had a little bit more discussion of the grow facility. And then open space needs your input. Has that already, that time frame already passed?
I think it may be close. Just a reminder, if it hasn't, the Open Space Committee would love your comments, either online or in the paper versions of the survey available here, library. Please, please.
Okay. And that was it. Nice little picture of the black squirrel on the back page. And then the second paper, which is from last Friday, had a nice article with a picture of Christine Winslow, who was at a local library advocates annual legislative breakfast. That was a nice article, and then everything else was.
And the fire department on the front did some
Two storms skid into South Shore, and then the Plympton Fire Department took advantage of a sunny February 7th day to run ice and water rescue drills. Yeah, didn't they have the
I had meant to go and I missed it.
suits on? Didn't they have the immersion suits and everything? Very nice.
It was on Bonnie's Pond, it was pretty neat.
Yeah, that's, my
see
husband drove by it
everyone,
too,
yeah.
and he thought that was pretty cool too. Okay, so that's all we've got for correspondence.
So, one other agenda item, I think starting next week, I will add an agenda item about the town meeting warrant articles that we need to start building.
Open the warrant, officially open the warrant
Oh, do
with a
we-
vote next week. We need to do that. That way there you put everybody on notice that the warrant's open.
All right, so
You're
I'll
off to
do
the
that.
races.
Opening warrant,
Both warrants, actually.
say again?
Both warrants, special and annual.
Special town meeting and annual town meeting. So we can open those anytime?
Anytime.
All right, so we'll do that next Monday night. and
Perfect.
We'll get that conversation started. and
Okay.
We may find that that consumes a fair part of our time over a while. Any other agenda items? I won't get a draft agenda to you all. Most of it will be,
Yeah, we got a lot done off this, so we won't have a lot that's pending. We'll just have the Blue Wave, right? Just kind of following up with Blue Wave.
Yeah, Dave.
I'm gonna follow up
Dave's
with
gonna-
that.
Okay, and Borrego, we have got to read the pilot agreement, right?
yeah, we'll have
And-
that. We can start talking about warrant articles.
Sure.
And Borrego would like it as soon as possible, but they understand that they're the ones that put the brakes on, and we'll get to it in our own time.
Okay.
So we can have them any Monday, I think they want to come. Check with them, and probably not next Monday, but anyone after that.
Yeah, that should give us time to review that.
Okay,
I have a couple quick things.
Sure.
Did John
I did register for the legislative
Great.
breakfast, which is a week from Friday.
Nice.
good, good.
And I had noticed on Main Street that there were a couple branches hanging over the roads, and I called the tree warden, and they are looking at it. They're gonna go out and scope everything out and go out with the cherry picker and cut things. you know.
Great.
So they're well aware, so if anyone's concerned, they know, and they're gonna take care of it, so.
Very good, thank you.
Good news.
Okay, the executive session minutes, we are all promising ourselves we'll remember next Monday night. In the meantime, we have the February 1st minutes. Did everybody have time to look at those?
Did, but I don't know where my copies are.
I have an extra copy if you'd like.
Yeah, I'd love one, thank you.
Are there corrections?
I had two minor, and I'm not sure that my paging is the same as yours, so. Under the dog complaint hearing, it says there have been complaints filed in the past of the dog for the same offense. I would just take out the of the dog and complaints for the same offense.
Are you,
Are you marking? No?
yes,
Yeah, I did mark.
Okay.
Like, my computer prints out weird things. It was on the Mac and it doesn't print it out right. So maybe we should mark it on Mark's.
Okay, so, we're taking out of the dog.
Yeah,
Let's
it
see.
just didn't make sense to me.
There were, there
Or
have been
about- or
complaints
just add-
filed in the past
You can say about the dog, if you want to leave the dog in there.
about the dog for the same offense, or you?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, and then above it, there was a, it says abuts the property of the Place family, actually, it's across the street.
Oh, okay.
I'll fix that, all right, so I got that, you have other things?
On the last page, the motion, Mr. Russo made a motion, the dog is in violation of being a nuisance, and I would just change that to something like, Mr. Russo made a motion to state for the record that the dog is a nuisance. He's not in violation of being a nuisance, he is in fact a nuisance.
Right. He declared him a nuisance.
Made a motion that the board agrees.
Yep, that's fine.
Okay.
And the next motion, should be.
Says, Mr. Russo mad.
Yes, exactly. And we do know you're crazy, but added it there anyway.
You need the, yeah. Where's that heading?
And we needed that. Made a motion that the dog be permanently restrained.
Yeah.
That's it.
Chairman
Sorry,
Russo
folks.
declared mad.
We start at 5:30, so about this time we get a little
It's just a
randy.
little bit.
Mad Mark's a little alliterative.
Yeah, well, it's good. Anything
I
else?
would just put, that you made this motion to approve, contingent on, sign-offs by the other department heads, that Jim and everybody else. Approval.
For the race?
Yeah, for the race, the Best Buddies Challenge.
Best Buddy Channel approved
Contingent on,
pending
yeah, pending approval by the,
approval by other permitting boards,
perfect.
committees.
Police department isn't approving anything.
Okay.
Just to let you know that.
If any
Okay.
of this, oh, okay. Anything else for you? Okay, I make a motion the minutes of February 1st be approved as amended.
Okay.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Wow, we wore out the
So that's all we've
press.
got.
That's cool, man. When we wear out the press, we did them good. No.
I'm pretty impressed that you guys didn't, that dog thing was pretty
All right. Anything else? Okay. So we're appreciative of the hard work of everyone, and we had some pretty good challenges we're dealing with, and we move along. We're very appreciative to Area 58 and Ivana, and appreciated to the other press. So we'll be back next Monday night. Have a good week, everyone.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.